feel comfortable doing. If you feel at risk at any point, please speak up. And this could just be something as simple as you're too close to me, and just say to somebody, you just need a little more distance, or your mask is falling off your nose, or something like that, right? Keep washing your hands. And I think actually, isn't that something Kirsten, she does?
This is all very exciting, because being at my first show at Fairfield itself, it's got a very promising cast, and I feel like I'm really going to connect with everybody. And I'm just really excited to be here, and just to really express myself on however we're doing this show.
I was supposed to be directing Bertolt Brecht's The Three Penny Opera. We just decided we're not going to do that via the internet, right? We want to do that live and in person.
Of course, like everything else, we were affected by the pandemic. And so we started to look at what might be possible. And then as the idea to have these fantastic pods came around, which made it possible at all to do a musical with everybody in the same place, we started looking at works that were for limited forces.
We were then confronted with finding a musical that we felt we could actually produce.
We did look pretty seriously at least one other piece, and we looked in a general way at a whole bunch of other pieces. The process was quite a bit collaborative, and not just between me and Marty and Brad, but also everyone else who works on it at the faculty level.
I think it's the perfect piece for now, during COVID, after we've all been shut out of our theaters for a year, because it gives hope.
I'm really excited about it. This is one of the few times I've gotten to sing without a mask in a while, and it's so nice being able to sing with other people again in person.
It's all about, yeah, this is going to happen, and we're going to keep working on this, and we're going to make it work, and we're going to attract people to support us to get this show up, and we're going to go out there and put it on.
When we did our Love and Imagination last fall, in fall of 2019, we were all in COVID and Zoom world, and we'd all been fatigued and had very little interaction with each other. And I think that's what the students really missed, and what performing arts really gives people, is a chance to interact with each other. So my thought, I think I was just thinking of like movie studios, and since we did have a small cast for this particular show, I thought, well, what if we just thought of it as small miniature movie studios?
Our technical director came up with this great idea to actually design and build actor pods in the Black Box Theater, because at this point, no one's using it, so it's completely free, and it's our space now, and that we would then create this environment so that we could have live rehearsals and live performance, which of course is going to be broadcast television, essentially.
So yeah, the pod's kind of an experimental design that we've created that allows each actor to be fully unmasked and comfortable in their own space, but also to be able to see other actors in the playing space.
So we came up with a big square, really, and a lot of green screen material in the background. Because we did have success with that when we were doing our Zoom production. And the white stuff is really, it's from the actual movie world, polysilk. So if we wanted to or needed to get more lights in there, we certainly can. And we do have more lights over the top.
We found a really cute print fabric in this green tone that is quite lovely and looks great on her. The only problem is we have a green screen, so that green against the green screen will disappear, which would be terrible. So we have an alternative fabric called blue screen that is a dark blue, and therefore when she stands against the blue screen fabric in her green dress, she will remain visible.
Rehearsals are definitely different, but it's really exciting to be working in this entirely new format in the pods, figuring it out as we go. It's very kind of experimental and creative in that way, so it's really exciting to be working on a project in this way.
The pods are useful for, engaging with the other actors and also being safe when you don't have your mask on and performing a show like this, especially when you have to sing out loud, which could potentially endanger practically everybody in an area of effect.
This is a generalization. Many people are filming and then streaming. I think we're the only ones that I know of, that I'm aware of, that are live streaming in our own green screen pods.
It's really interesting to track the evolution that Theater Fairfield has had with our connection to virtual theater. Even before the season started, we were using virtual theater to promote and salvage our canceled spring production of Titus Andronicus. When the season started, the real goal was just to focus on seeing the limits of Zoom and how much we could capture that authentic virtual theatrical experience in a virtual environment. When Director's Cut came next, we were usually doing the same things that happened with Love and Imagination, but we did introduce some new cinematic intros and some techniques that were pretty new and did not quite lean into the idea of a authentic theatrical experience. And then in January, we really tried to just embrace what exactly could be done in virtual theater that can't be done normally, which is how we got Woman and Scarecrow. The problem with Woman and Scarecrow is that was a pre-recorded and edited production. So when Dr. L approached me to be the videographer and video engineer for Title of Show, my goal that she gave me was to take the techniques and things we saw in Woman and Scarecrow, a pre-recorded and edited production, and translate that into a live performance.
This will be a live broadcast. And Park Lytle, who is, I don't know what we would do without him as video engineer. He is spending so much time trying to figure out camera shots and camera angles so that he can plan this all out and have the right framing of the various performers at different times during different numbers, etc., and to get the sweep of the storytelling down so that our broadcast TV audiences, you're sitting at home watching this, it's going to be a cohesive, exciting story to engage with.
So right now, all the actors are on break, but what I'm essentially doing is testing out the designs I've made through OBS. Each actor's camera is in a specific spot on the design layout I've made. And each design is a cue. So while the actor's performing the scene, when it's time to change, I just press a down arrow, and the actors and the layout morphs into a new position to kind of advance the plot and continue the story in any new and engaging way.
It is a show about creating a show. And so there are so many moments where you kind of are pulled out of the script in a way that makes you recognize that, oh, it's theater about theater about theater about theater, essentially.
The way the plot evolves is that as people spitball ideas, as they come up with some pretty wild and crazy stuff, they write it all down. And they write specific music for it, and they include it in the show.
I think in the spirit of the show, which was very collaborative between all the 4 actors who were writing it, we kept that vision with how collaborative we were with our show. I would say from start to finish, this was probably one of the most collaborative shows I've had the privilege to work on.
It was like in here. It was in Kirsten's pod. Bizarre. Which is so bizarre.
A great example is how we were really trying to figure out what our opening number was going to look like. There were a lot of ideas swirling around. For instance, one actor, Carlin, he initially floated the idea of maybe having the actors look like they're performing in a fake Zoom screen to sort of be a fake out to what the show would look like in reality. While our choreographer, Brad, he was doing this moment where the actors were going to duck down and rise up, and they were going to be right in front of the screen to sort of say, we know you're here, we know what's going on, let's have some fun.
Okay, well, we've been confined in space, so we have to do things gesturally rather than in big whole body movement. And I was mostly taking my cues from the lyrics. So again, as I've been watching TikTok, one of the virtuoso things they do is the change of speed. So everything's happening really fast, and then there's this slow, and then it goes fast again. And that's what this is, right? To see what we could turn into gestures and turn into a kind of a dance that tells the story of each song.
So it was really the fusing of those 2 ideas that led to that moment in the start, at the very top of the show, where the actors in their fake Zoom screens are going to duck down, and in that one little split second when they're all off camera, I'm going to hit a cue, and suddenly they're all going to rise up out of their Zoom screens in the foreground to say, this is not what you think, and this is not what you're expecting.
I found that Jeff is very particular about a lot of the things that he does. He wants everything to be as perfect as possible and to be, pinpoint accurate with what he wrote.
Honestly, I love Susan. Now having played her for a number of weeks, because she is hilarious, and her go-to defense moment when there's an awkward moment of silence, when she just needs to say something, anything, is humor. And so she has a ton of just really quirky, really fun lines that are just a joy to actually just get to embody in the rehearsal room and during the show.
As the show progressed, as its history progressed, they kept writing it into the show. So the end of the show you will be seeing in April is actually the beginning of the Broadway run.
It really teaches us how even this, right? There's a lot of stuff that we couldn't do last semester. We're in the same room. We have live music. But even that, just to get you to make theater when we're, we've covered this distance from last year, right? But just to get that last bit of it's a lot of work, and it still requires an immense amount of creativity from our students and from our faculty as well.
Sure, rehearsals can be frustrating, projects can be frustrating, etc. Losing sleep, but I enjoy everything that I'm doing. I'm glad that I'm doing it.
But I would still do this again if we have a few more months of quarantine and we have another show coming up, then yeah, I would definitely do it, because this is a fun experience to do theater with friends, even in these restrictions.
I think the future will perhaps be depending on the project and the show we're doing. We want to keep the door open, right? We've now invested in a lot of new equipment. We are getting our feet wet in working in this mode. And why close the door on something?